Have you ever signed up for an insurance policy and just as you're signing on the dotted line, your agent turns to you and says, "Hey, do you want to add this rider to your policy?" And you're in shock because you're thinking, "Hey, why wasn't this included in my policy in the first place?" Right? Hi, I'm Andrea Heng, and this is the Money Talks podcast. And welcome to Money Talks Explains. It's a new feature on the Money Talks podcast where we take a burning question that you may have about personal finance or anything related to money, and we get an expert to break it down for us. Now, today, I want to explain insurance riders. Have you ever signed up for an insurance policy, and just as you're signing on the dotted line, your agent turns to you and says, "Hey, do you want to add this rider to your policy?" And you're in shock because you're thinking, "Hey, why wasn't this included in my policy in the first place?" Right? Well, someone's got some explaining to do, and that person is Samuel Loh. He is Chief Health Officer at Income Insurance Limited. Hey, Sam, good to have you on the podcast, and welcome to Money Talks Explains.
Thank you for inviting me, Andrea.
Let's get the basics down. What is an insurance rider? Because I see terms like policy insurance rider, and then I also see something called an IP. I mean, what's the pros and cons of an insurance rider?
So let me just give a breakdown a bit. So first of all, every Singaporean and or permanent resident has a basic national health insurance available that's called the MediShield Life. On top of that, they are encouraged to have a private integrated shield plan, which we call IP. So a rider is on top of that to help reduce the out-of-pocket expenses in the case of if there is a hospital bill.
Okay, so why is it important to have an IP rider added to our policy? I mean, is it really necessary?
So besides the out-of-pocket, reducing the out-of-pocket expenses, okay, some IP riders actually offer additional coverage. For example, additional coverage for the cancer drugs that is not covered by the MSHL or the IP. So it's important to consider these additional benefits. Okay, but whether or not someone consider having an IP rider to be important, but ultimately also dependent on their financial needs, their comfort level, because IP rider requires additional premium, which has to be paid by cash. And after that, they will have to consider also the desired coverage that they will have like to have.
So which groups of people would an IP rider benefit the most? I mean, or do you think it's for everyone?
First of all, I think it's good to consider insurance like IP or IP rider before someone really needs it. Okay. Then I think it's good to also understand what are the different IPs and the IP riders available. You can compare in terms of the benefits that's being offered. Okay, how much does the premium cost, and what happens after a claim has been made?
Okay.
And whether or not the claim, after making the claim, how would that affect the premium subsequently? I think there's a lot of information available about the comparison of different IP and IP riders. For example, Ministry of Health in their website has that comparison of different insurers, their plans available, the benefits, and also the premium payable. They even have the turnaround time in terms of how fast the claims are being reimbursed.
Wow.
So I think all this information available, and I would also encourage someone to speak to their financial advisor who can really evaluate in terms of the comfort level, explain some of the terminology, the jargons, what are co-deductibles, what is co-insurance, and all what the benefits, and really evaluate as a whole to see which IP and of course the IP riders that someone is comfortable in having.
I think that's a good tip. And I just wanted to jump in here and ask you about the benefits comparison, right? So when we are shopping around for an IP rider and we're making these comparisons, what are, say, 3 of the most important benefits that we should be looking out for and comparing between the different plans?
First of all, I think is what kind of coverage that is required. Whether someone would prefer a coverage to have a treatment done in a public hospital or a private hospital. Okay. In terms of the coverage and the claim, how much is that policy limit in terms of the coverage payout, whether or not is it enough, okay, and whether or not to add on the rider to cover to have additional coverage.
But is it necessarily a bad thing if we don't have a rider to our policy? Can I say no and I will really lose out on something here?
Of course, the choice is depending on someone's lifestyle preference. You have to evaluate because there's so many other insurance products available. There's also different riders. But all in all, I would encourage someone to really plan early and take action. Most importantly, to take action today and not keep delaying it until when you really need that insurance.
Yeah, by which time it'll be too late, right? Because they need a window to assess and everything. So do riders typically come from the same insurer? Must be from the same insurer as your main policy?
Yeah. So if there is a integrated plan, then the rider usually follows the insurance company.
So brings me to my next question, Sam. When is the best time to buy a rider? You said as early as possible. I know that, but is there such a thing as you're too young to start buying a rider now? I mean, talk us through, what's the best time for us to get a rider?
So someone can be even covered from when infant or 1 year old. Some of them offer integrated shield plan as early as 1 year old. Some even has a tie-on. So for example, for myself personally, I bought for my children, okay, their integrated plan as early as when they are. I was talking to a financial advisor even before they are born, and after that when they are born, and consider and purchase that, including the IP rider that is attached to it.
Wow, so you're a real planner.
I think it's good to plan early, but sometimes certain things also you say, okay, today I'm very busy in my work, and then I'll just try and postpone it for tomorrow. But tomorrow is always you are busy, and then you put it later. Yeah.
You know what, Sam? That's all of us, me included. All of us are like that. We're only human, right? But I think this conversation is a good reminder of why we need to do things early. Okay, my final question to you, Sam. You talked about how these riders, they are still at the end of the day a premium, an added expense that we need to add. So how should we think about budgeting for an IP rider on top of our policy, on top of every other thing that we're paying for? How do we make sure that we get a rider that has good coverage but also stays within our budget?
So I think it's good to find a financial advisor and do that financial planning, looking at the income someone has and also the expenses. Some of these expenses can be savings for emergencies, savings for retirement, or savings for a trip that someone would like to go to. But of course, also then allocate some into insurance for coverage. I think how much the person willing to pay and allocate for the insurance, it depends on the comfort level, the desired coverage, and what type of products that insurance product that someone's would like to have. For example, IP, and whether or not which rider will be suitable. So I think have that conversation, think about it, and really consider, because a commitment to IP and a rider is an annual premiums and all. And I think it has to be depending on the situations of someone, okay, in terms of the financial planning and all. So all in all, have that conversation, make that appointment, reschedule it 1 or 2 times.
And when's a good time to review? Let's say if we decide, okay, this year I can afford to pay for a more expensive rider because I want more coverage. When do we ask ourselves these questions?
Whenever you feel like to. If let's say really, because if let's say the financial means is possible, or if there's a change in life situation. So for example, getting married, then having children, you will have to plan for myself, my insurance and the coverage needs for my children as well.
Yeah. All right, Sam, you have been a great explainer on Money Talks Explains. Thanks very much for doing this for us.
Thank you.
Is there a money topic that you're confused about? Or do you want a financial term, well, explained to you? Well, Money Talks Explains is where you can get that explanation. Write into us with your ideas for Money Talks Explains. We'll let you know. We would like to hear from you. All you got to do is email cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg. This is Money Talks. I'm Andrea Heng.